In exploring the topic of God's commandments, we begin with an introduction to the concept itself. God's commandments are typically understood as divine laws or instructions given by God to guide human behavior and ensure a moral and just life. These commandments are considered sacred by followers, central to religious practice, and often found in sacred texts such as the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. The Ten Commandments within the Judeo-Christian tradition are the most recognized, serving as foundational principles for ethical conduct. The significance of understanding God's commandments lies in their profound influence on personal morality, social justice, and legal systems in many cultures. They form a moral compass for followers, offering a blueprint for living a life that is in harmony with divine will and communal values. This guidance can affect everything from individual ethical decisions to broader societal norms. Real-world applications of God's commandments are evident across various aspects of daily life and governance. For instance, many legal systems incorporate principles akin to those found in the commandments, such as prohibitions against murder and theft, reflecting their enduring impact on law and order. In personal lives, individuals turn to these commandments for guidance in making ethical choices, fostering virtues such as honesty and integrity. Supporters of the importance of God's commandments often argue that these rules provide clarity and stability in a complex world, anchoring society with time-tested values. They suggest that adherence to these commandments can lead to a more harmonious society, characterized by mutual respect and shared moral standards. However, there are challenges and controversies surrounding the application and interpretation of God's commandments. Alternative viewpoints question the rigidity of these ancient laws in the context of modern society, where diverse belief systems and evolving cultural norms exist. Some critics argue that blind adherence to commandments can lead to exclusion or discrimination against those who do not share the same beliefs. Understanding God's commandments also connects to broader theological discussions on free will, accountability, and the nature of divine judgment. These commandments influence other aspects of religious life, such as worship practices, community interactions, and interpretations of sacred texts. They serve as a bridge between divine expectations and human actions, fostering a deeper engagement with faith's ethical dimensions. Overall, delving into the commandments offers rich insights into their enduring relevance and challenges in contemporary society. God's commandments, often referred to as divine directives, are fundamental principles believed to be given by God to guide human behavior and moral decisions. These commandments serve as a moral compass for many believers, encapsulating a wide range of ethical teachings and spiritual laws. They are considered sacred instructions on how humans should live in accordance with divine will, often outlined in religious texts such as the Bible, Torah, and Quran. The significance of God's commandments is profound, as they represent a core component of religious faith and practice. They provide a structured framework for individuals and communities to lead morally upright lives. For many, adhering to these commandments is synonymous with living a life that pleases God, ensuring spiritual harmony and moral integrity in a complex world. One notable example of God's commandments is the Ten Commandments in Christianity and Judaism. These commandments include directives such as honoring one's parents, not stealing, and not bearing false witness. They are considered essential teachings that establish foundational moral values. Similarly, in Islam, the Quran outlines specific commandments such as the 5 pillars of Islam, which include daily prayers and fasting during Ramadan, emphasizing devotion to God and ethical conduct. Supporters of the idea of divine commandments argue that they provide a timeless, universal moral code that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries, offering clear guidance in a world full of moral ambiguity. They are seen as vital in nurturing societal cohesion and personal integrity, helping individuals make ethical decisions. However, challenges and controversies often arise regarding the interpretation and application of these commandments. Some argue that rigid adherence to ancient commandments may not always align with contemporary societal norms or ethical considerations. Critics may question the relevance of specific commandments in today's socio-political contexts, or debate over interpretations that may vary across different faiths and cultures. The concept of God's commandments connects intricately to other aspects of religious life, influencing religious rituals, community norms, and personal spirituality. They often form the foundation for religious laws and ethical teachings, impacting everything from legal systems to individual moral choices. Understanding these commandments provides insight into the broader religious worldview, highlighting the relationship between divine laws and human conduct. In essence, they serve as the link between divine intention and human action, guiding believers toward a path of righteousness and spiritual fulfillment. The historical context and origin of the commandments refers to the backdrop and beginnings of the moral and religious directives often attributed to divine revelation, particularly in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Specifically, the Ten Commandments, received by Moses on Mount Sinai as described in the Hebrew Bible, serve as a foundational ethical code. These commandments have played a pivotal role in shaping religious, moral, and even secular laws throughout history. Understanding the historical context is crucial because it illuminates the enduring influence of these commandments on both ancient and modern societies. The commandments not only outline moral imperatives but also reflect the cultural and societal norms of the time they were introduced. The significance here extends beyond religious practice. They provide a lens through which we can view the development of legal systems and moral philosophies in Western civilization. Two specific examples demonstrate the impact of the commandments. Firstly, in the context of Jewish and Christian doctrine, the commandments serve as a guide for ethical behavior and communal responsibility. For instance, the directive to honor thy father and thy mother underscores the value placed on familial respect and social cohesion. Secondly, their influence is evident in the legal traditions of many Western countries, where principles like not bearing false witness have evolved into modern laws against perjury. Support for the importance of understanding the historical context comes from both religious scholars and historians, who argue that an appreciation of these origins deepens our understanding of contemporary legal and ethical systems. For believers, the divine origin of the commandments reinforces their authority and timeless relevance, while historians view them as an essential part of the ancient world's socio-political fabric. However, there are challenges and controversies associated with this concept. Critics argue that a strict interpretation of the commandments fails to account for cultural and historical changes, which may render some directives outdated or inapplicable in modern contexts. Additionally, alternative viewpoints suggest that similar ethical codes existed independently in other ancient cultures, raising questions about the uniqueness and universality of these laws. This historical context not only enriches our understanding of religious teachings, but also influences ongoing discussions about morality, law, and human rights. The commandments continue to inspire debates on their application in today's diverse and pluralistic societies, linking the past with the present and potentially guiding future ethical decision-making. In this way, they remain a vital thread in the broader tapestry of how societies define and strive for a moral life. God's commandments, as understood within various religious traditions such as Christianity and Judaism, refer to the divine laws or moral principles that believers are expected to follow. Typically, these are seen as instructions given by God to guide human behavior and maintain ethical standards. In Christianity, the Ten Commandments, delivered to Moses on Mount Sinai, are a well-known example. They provide a moral framework encompassing duties to God, like worship and reverence, as well as interpersonal ethics, such as prohibitions against murder, theft, and bearing false witness. The significance of understanding God's commandments lies in their foundational role in shaping religious, moral, and legal systems. For believers, these commandments are not merely guidelines. They are divine imperatives that define a righteous way of living and nurture a closer relationship with God. They offer a basis for moral conduct and serve as benchmarks against which actions are judged, ensuring accountability and community cohesion. Real-world applications of God's commandments can be seen in diverse contexts. For instance, many modern legal systems have been influenced by these ancient directives, with laws against theft and perjury often reflecting the commandment's intent. In a personal sense, individuals may draw on commandments such as honor your father and mother to guide family interactions, and maintain respect within familial structures. Another example is the commandment to rest on the Sabbath, which influences work-life balance discussions and the valorization of rest in today's work-driven cultures. Supporters of adhering to God's commandments often emphasize their timelessness and universality, arguing that these divine laws reflect an eternal moral order beneficial to personal growth and societal stability. However, critics may argue that certain commandments, viewed through a contemporary lens, can seem outdated or too rigid, possibly conflicting with modern values like personal autonomy and freedom. Controversies surrounding God's commandments can arise from differing interpretations or applications. For example, debates over the public display of the Ten Commandments in government spaces in the United States illuminate tensions between religious and secular values. These commandments' influence intersects other religious aspects, such as rituals, narratives, and community ethics, showcasing their integral role in faith traditions. In this way, God's commandments not only guide moral behavior, but also deeply influence religious identity and expression. Through understanding these commandments, one gains insight into the broader moral and ethical landscape shaped by centuries of religious thought.